You're listening to Carrie Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
Welcome. You are listening to watching the Financial Survival Network. Hey, on this show, we talk a lot about entrepreneurialism, a lot about building businesses, about how you escape the 9-to-5 grind, the rat race, if you will. And look, when you're starting your own business or buying one, it's real easy to substitute one grind for another, one rat race for another. The person you're about to hear from will show you how to actually turn your business into a career, not a job, and how to free you up and how to build it and scale it by implementing systems and procedures and becoming a real CEO, not a fellow ditch digger. His name is Stephen Rozenberg. Stephen, you're a pilot for a major airline. You've been for a long time. You got your layoff notice after 9/11. That was an eye-opener to you, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was something that really, it was a very humbling moment for me personally, I can tell you, because, when you train your whole life for something and that's all you know how to do, which for me was being an airline pilot, that's all I ever wanted to be. And all of a sudden, within 48 hours of 9/11, the tragedies of 9/11, I got a furlough notice and I realized there's nothing else I could do. I don't know how to do anything else except to be a pilot. And it's a very humbling moment when that happens, because you realize how basically, was it an illusion, right? Was I believing a dream that didn't exist? And I don't know the answer to that, but I realized that because I was so focused and so specialized, I couldn't do anything else. And as I've learned as an entrepreneur, that's the last thing that you want to be. As an employee, that's great because they've got you. There's nowhere you can go. As an entrepreneur, that's probably not the best model as you want to build. So it was a punch to the gut, slap to the face at the same time. But like everything, you've got to digest it and learn and move on. Hey,
well, that goes to the conundrum that when you were an employee, you're always a cost to be controlled. Now,
absolutely.
Obviously, the airline's got a certain number of planes they got to fly. But if something happens, like a pandemic, like a terrorist attack, like so many other incidents that have occurred, that could be ephemeral, and you could wind up facing some serious alone time. And I guess the other thing is you're flying all over the world, airports all over the world. You're kind of living in this artificial environment, and then it's like it stops. What was that like?
It was almost this reality that was not existent to me, that I was living in this dream. I remember and you've got to imagine, this is after the shock of 9/11. So this is the first time that the United States has ever been attacked this way in New York.
Yeah, sure.
And so we're reeling with this. And I will tell you that after the shock of everything and getting a furlough notice and the airline saying, hey, you know what? That safe and that secure job that you thought you had, it was never safe and it was never secure. And now you're about to be on the street with 50,000 other pilots. And I remember at that moment thinking to myself, I caused this. And now, obviously, I didn't cause the tragedies. I had nothing to do with it, but I was a byproduct of it. And I allowed myself to get into this position in life because I got lazy. Because all these people that I knew, my circle, told me, when you become an airline pilot, you're done. You've got the best job in the world. And I thought, okay, I was the second youngest person hired at this particular airline. I was going to retire number 2. So I'm thinking, I'm set. This is it. I can coast. And I thought to myself, how stupid was I to believe other people when they're on the street with me now? And I remember being upset at myself for being lazy. Like, how ignorant was I and naive to think that just because I have a job, well-paying job, unionized job, that I'm done. And so that was my wake-up moment for me.
So I grew up, I'm 4th generation entrepreneur.
Okay.
And always been in business for myself. I always say when I was younger, anyone who was thinking of hiring me would be crazy to do that because, I'm not like the team player guy. Rah, rah, rah. I had a business, legal printing, and 20 years ago, 1997, I looked at it, I said, this thing is going to be gone here. This internet thing is going to get rid of it, these links, everything else. You're just not going to be printing stuff like you did. Now, it took a good 17, 18 years for that to happen, but I sold the company and went into other things. So the entrepreneurial mindset, if you're an employee working and you think you're in a secure job, you need to be thinking like an entrepreneur. How do you get somebody who has the illusion of security to really understand you need to be an entrepreneur?
Well, I can tell you from my personal experience that getting a pink slip will thrust you into that. But, that's a good question. And I was in that boat of I should invest in real estate one day. That would be neat to do. But when that should becomes a must and your back is up against the wall, like mine was, as in, I don't know how I'm going to survive or pay my bills. All of a sudden, that one day becomes, I need to do something today. Now, everybody has different whys and different reasons. Mine was pure survival. I did not want to get involved in real estate. I never thought I'd be speaking around the world, telling my story and showing people how to do what I do. But I'm a byproduct of, again, something that was, as you said, I can be dismissed, downsized, merged,
bankrupted,
degraded, demoted. I mean, if something goes wrong in the airplane, at the end of the day, as pilot in command, I am responsible, which means I get the glory, but I also get the hanging out to dry if there's a problem. If I go off the end of the runway, they're talking to me as to what happened. So every day I take that plane out, I'm putting my job and my career and my family on the line.
In your life. Yeah.
In your life. So I would say that, again, many people think they have this safe, secure job. That is the most unsafe and unsecure thing you could ever do. How do you convince someone that? I don't know. I mean, until you get punched in the face like I did and have that reality, I think a lot of people see it nowadays when there's a downsizing or you hear about a recession, and that's when they start thinking about it. But that is not the time to think about it. The time to think about it is when you're fat, dumb, and happy and you're making money and you do what's called minding your business, where on the nights and on the weekends, that's when you build your own quote unquote empire of whatever it is you're going to do. To create, motivation, right? A lot of people after 9/11 were motivated to do something else, or after even COVID. But motivation is like a battery. It drains over time. Your why as to why you're doing something, that is what's going to carry you through the dark nights. As an entrepreneur, you have a lot of sleepless nights. You have a lot of doubt going on. Am I doing the right thing or am I doing the wrong thing? Am I making a catastrophic mistake? But I've learned that skill set, you're not born an entrepreneur. You are built and bred as an entrepreneur. And I'm a perfect example. I never thought that I would be doing this. And was I born with that? Maybe I had some idiosyncrasies and some abilities, but I had to become a different person. And I have a lot of people, I've been on a lot of podcasts about an airline pilot after 9/11, scared, nervous, not knowing what to do. And then COVID hit. Airlines start furloughing again. They're parking a lot of planes. If everyone remembers, everything was parked. The company I worked for was losing $100 million a day in revenue. It's a worldwide company. It's a lot of money. It's only a matter of time until the coffers run dry. So a lot of people asked me, they said, Steve, what is the difference between you today, COVID, you're not worried about it, doesn't affect you, you're fine, and you post 9/11 when you were nervous and scared? And my thing is it was one word. It was just action. I took massive action. I didn't know if it was right. I didn't know if it was wrong. I didn't have anybody telling me, Steve, you shouldn't. I didn't care. I took massive action and I made a lot of mistakes. I got ripped off. I got lied to. I got stolen from. But you know what? My why was so strong and my must was so powerful. I had to keep getting up because I needed a paycheck.
Right.
And slowly, like you as entrepreneurs, we start to figure it out and we start to figure out what works. And more importantly, we start noticing what doesn't work so we don't do that again. And I tell people, I didn't grow a third arm. I haven't done anything different except I've worked on myself as to who I am from 9/13 when I got furloughed to today. The only difference is massive action. And that's all I could tell people is everybody's so afraid to make a move because they don't want to look bad. And I always hear that all the time. They're like, well, I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm thinking, do you really think you're that important? Like, do you really think anybody cares if you make a mistake? Like, nobody even knows about you. Nobody cares about you. And all you're doing is you're making excuses. Just say you're afraid. Just say that you don't want to do it. Don't tell me you can't. Tell me you won't. And tell me it's not important to you to make a better life for yourself. That's what I want to hear. Because other than that, you're just lying to yourself, in my opinion. And that, again, this is just my perception of what I personally went through to get where I am today.
So true. What that change that you have to make, right? You got to keep growing. And it sounds like you got into a nice, comfy rut, and you thought that rut was going to serve you for the rest of your life, and then wake up call, right? So what I want you out there to get is, don't wait for a disaster to happen. Predict it, expect it, and act as if the disaster was going to happen tomorrow, and start making the changes you need to make to be that person, to have that life that you want.
Don't just survive, thrive. The Financial Survival Network.
Goldterra Resource Corp is a gold exploration company that has assembled a highly prospective district-scale land position on the doorstep of the city of Yellowknife in Canada's Northwest Territories. Goldterra is currently focused on expanding and delineating gold resources at the company's Yellowknife City Gold Project, with a goal of discovering over 5 million ounces. With ready access to infrastructure and multiple high-grade gold discoveries, Goldterra is on track to re-establishing Yellowknife as one of the premier gold mining districts in Canada. Goldterra trades as YGT in Toronto and YGTFF on the OTC. For more information, go to goldterracorp.com. That's goldterracorp.com.
This is the Financial Survival Network. The information you need to thrive now more than ever.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I talk to a lot of professionals, a lot of airline pilots financially do well. They get a paycheck. And what I've noticed as well is, we get in that rut of what we feel we deserve, right? And I kind of know from building businesses to seeing the ownership side to flying as an employee, because I still am a pilot. I love what I do. And I think I love what I do so much because I don't need it. I don't have to be a pilot. I do it because I love doing it. I travel the world. I'm flying a $250 million 777 aircraft around the world 3 times a month. Cool. It's not a bad gig, right? I mean, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, but I hear people complaining all the time. They complain about the union. They claim about this. And my question is, well, why don't you do something about it? Well, nothing can be done. I'm like, you know what? That's the story you tell yourself. And if you want to lie to yourself, knock yourself out. But there's no pity party. Nobody cares. And that's what I think the biggest thing is if people lose their job, and I do a lot of real estate. I help people with a lot of real estate. And there's going to be a lot of people that lose everything that they own in the next wave when the wrecking ball comes back through during this recession or whatever you want to call it. And there will be a lot of people that did not create their business models correctly in real estate, and they will lose everything. Yeah. And I don't want to say anyone deserves that, because I don't think that's the right way to put it. But you kind of do, because you caused this to happen because you were either lazy, because you didn't create the right business model, or you were greedy. And greed and laziness are one of the biggest reasons that I have found people fail in any business model.
So true. Yeah, no question. And Henry Ford said it best. If you think you can do it or you think you can't do it, either way, you're right. It's amazing what you can really do when either you have to, your back is up against the wall, or that growth spurt hits, that emotional growth spurt, and you really move forward with your life. Steve, 3 things that someone could do if they were in a rut like you were.
First thing you have to do is you have to get uncomfortable yourself. You've got to put yourself in an uncomfortable position, because the more you can put yourself in uncomfortable positions, when it actually happens, it's not a shock to you. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is you have to look, the person that we are today, the person that you are right now, is not going to be the person that gets you to the next level in life. You have to do something different, because if that was the case, you would be that person already. So I think we all have that buoyancy level of where we're comfortable. And that buoyancy level is where we're okay. It could be what we weigh, our physical shape, our mental relationships with our spouses or families. We have an equilibrium that we're okay with. We don't need to go above and beyond and bring flowers home to our wife every day. We say, you know what, I'm okay just kissing her hello, and that's good. But that's the life you're going to have. Same thing with business. You have to start changing your habits, your patterns, and your rituals to become that new person. Part of that means getting around new people. If I want to learn how to own a private jet, I'm going to be hanging out with people like maybe Brad Lee or Grant Cardone because I want to see where they're at. I don't want to hang out with people that are at my level or below because it's like a white belt trying to teach a black belt how to do a kick. I don't need that. I want to talk to someone who's a 5th degree black belt. So you've got to get around people that have different habits and different patterns. The third thing I would say is you have to start with the end in mind. You have to start with what the goal is for your life and reverse engineer it. I get so many people that want to start a business. The very first question when I coach them, I ask them, what's the sale date of your business? And they look at me like I'm speaking French with 3 heads. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, what is the destination of this business? What's the revenue? When does it have to be a saleable asset? The sale date doesn't mean you have to sell it, but it means it has to be an asset that's running without any of your involvement. If you have to be involved in your business, it's not a business, it is a job by definition.
Right.
The more involved you are in the business, the less valuable it is. So I want to know what is the date that this becomes a saleable asset so that it will run without you. And if you don't, you may be going on the freeway, being as busy as you can and just bypass your exit, or worse, you could be going in the wrong direction, being busy and not even realize you're going the wrong way in life and the wrong way in business. And nobody ever asked you that question. So those are the 3 things I would say.
All right. I like it. Hey, so people want to find out more about you, Steve, connect with you on the web. How do you do that?
Yeah, you can go to my website at steverozenberg.com. It's ROZENBERG. Or you can go to social media, Instagram, Rozenberg Steve, Facebook, YouTube channel, all those things. I do, high-level masterminds with some pretty high-level speakers and coaching and, all that kind of stuff. So everybody resonates with somebody. I happen to resonate with people that really want to change their life and become that successful person using the airline systemology.
I love it. All right. Hey, we appreciate you coming on, Steve. Make sure you send me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. If you want a question for Steve, just ask it. We'll get you an answer. And while you're at the site, financialsurvivalnetwork.com, sign up for your free newsletter. Steve, really appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Kerry. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.